Good morning and thank you for joining us. We begin the news at 10 from the national scene where President Bola Tinubu has unveiled the renovated Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Art, formerly known as the National Art Theatre in Lagos, marking the official reopening of the iconic cultural landmark. President Tinubu arrived at the venue at about 6:24 p.m. on Wednesday for the reopening ceremony of the edifice, now renamed the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Art. The renovation of the center was funded and overseen by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) in collaboration with the Bankers Committee. The Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy provided policy direction and oversight, guiding the transformation of the facility into a national asset and a launchpad for Nigeria's creative industries. The edifice, the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Art, in honor of away from that, Senate President that more governors from opposition parties are putting finishing touches in preparation to joining President Bola Tinubu in the ruling party. Akpabio stated this in his good message at the launch of a book, 10 Years of Impactful Leadership of the APC Administration in Nigeria. The book was written by Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma and the commissioning of projects by President Bola Tinubu in Owerri. It further stated that Tinubu's reforms. Speaking further, Akpabio stressed that as the governor of Akwa Ibom State 18 years ago, he was already a progressive based on the project he executed. Service has commenced a nationwide crackdown on foreign nationals who have overstayed their visas or breached entry conditions, following the expiration of a 3-month amnesty granted by the federal government. The amnesty, which opened on July 5th, without penalties. The exercise targets holders of expired visa on arrival, expired single and multiple entry short visits or business visas, and also individuals with expired comprehensive expirated residence permit and automated card. The service said the measures are aimed at safeguarding national security and ensuring strict compliance with immigration laws. Away from that, governors have reaffirmed their pledge to raise their performance in line with calls by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for them to wet the grass further. They used the opportunity of the Independence Day programs and statement to convene their willingness to do more. The president's admonition is based on improved revenue going to the state and councils as fallout of the removal of petrol subsidy. From about 700 billion naira being shared from the Federation account to the Federation, State and Council pre-May 2023, the Federation account allocation has risen to 2.2 trillion naira shared in August. In many of the states, there were activities to mark the country's 65th independence anniversary. The military parade, which would have been held in Abuja, was cancelled in the last minute. Meanwhile, River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has sacked all commissioners and other public office holders serving in his administration. The decision, according to a statement issued in Port Harcourt on Wednesday evening by his Chief Press Secretary, Nelson Chukwudi, takes immediate effect and followed the recent Supreme Court judgment. The governor, during a valid government house, Port Harcourt, thanked the outgoing officials for their services and contributions to the state development over the past 2 years. Fubara also reiterated his commitment to serve the state with renewed vigor, while expressing gratitude to Rivers people for the support and wishing Nigerians a happy independence anniversary. Let's move now to Africa, where South African opposition politician Julius Malema has been found guilty of illegal possession of a gun and firing it in public, offences which carries a minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. In 2018, a video emerged showing the Economic Freedom Fighter EFF leader using a semi-automatic rifle to fire several shots in the air during his party's 5th anniversary celebration held in the country's Eastern Cape province. He was charged alongside his former bodyguard, Aderian Singman, who was acquitted. Malema was convicted of hate speech less than 2 months ago and often lashes out at the white minority in a country where, 31 years after apartheid ended, racial tension still runs high. He has called for the seizure of white-owned lands and argues that more should be done to transfer wealth to the black majority. Malema was convicted of 5 offences, including the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, discharging it in a public space, and reckless endangerment. These offenders fell under the Firearms Control Act and carry a minimum of 15 years in prison. Still in Africa, at least 30 people have died and more than 200 others have been injured after a scaffolding collapsed at a church in Ethiopia. According to local police inspector Ahmed Gegbanyehu, who told reporters, thousands of worshippers were gathered at the RT Mariam Church early in the morning when the structure fell. The crowd has visited the church in the central Minja Shangnora area, about 70 kilometers from the capital, Addis Ababa, as part of the annual Orthodox Christian celebration of Saint Mary. Ahmed said the death toll might increase, adding that those confirmed deceased were aged between 25 and 80. On the foreign scene, rescuers in Indonesia raced against time to reach dozens of students and staff trapped under the rubble of a collapsed multi-story boarding school on Java today. Authorities say at least 5 people have died and around 59 remain missing following Monday's disaster, as families wait anxiously for news and emergency teams attempt a complex tunnel rescue amid unstable debris. Rescuers searching for people trapped under a collapsed school in Indonesia today are hoping to dig a tunnel at the risk of destabilizing the rubble to reach an estimated 59 still missing. Part of this multi-story building boarding school on the main island of Java suddenly gave way on Monday as students gathered for afternoon prayers. School records showed 91 people were buried under the rubble, according to the National Disaster and Mitigation Agency, and at least 5 people have been confirmed dead. So on the foreign scene, Brazil condemned Israel on Wednesday after the Israeli Navy intercepted a flotilla carrying aid to Gaza, with several Brazilian nationals on board, including a lawmaker. The global Summit flotilla, involving around 45 vessels carrying politicians and activists, left Spain last month, aiming to break Israel's blockade of the Palestinian territory, where the United Nations says famine had set in after nearly 2 years of war. Reports say Israeli forces stopped more than a dozen boats as they were sailing through the Mediterranean Sea in the international waters. Meanwhile, Brazil is one of many governments worldwide that have called on Israel to remove restrictions on humanitarian aid allowed to enter the Gaza Strip. Still to come in the news. Arsenal extend perfect start in Champions League with Olympiacos. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood and from the pitch to the track. Join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Spectrum News at 10. On a business news, the tension in Nigeria's oil and gas sector seemed to have come to an end as the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PEGASON, has reached an agreement to suspend 2 days' action against Dangote Refinery. This comes as the oil company agreed to recall its workers dismissed for belonging to PEGASON. The decision came after a 2-day meeting held on Monday and Tuesday between the federal government, PEGASON, and Dangote Refinery. In his remarks, the country's Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Dangyadi, reminded both parties that the right of workers to unionize in accordance with Nigerians' law must be respected. Part of the communique after the meeting revealed 3 key positions. Dangote Group will immediately start the reabsorption of sacked workers, and PEGASON will suspend a strike and end workers' victimization. Still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited Group Chief Executive Officer Bashir Ojulari has lamented the crude and gas production losses resulting from the 3-day strike carried out by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. In a letter written to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Ojulari explained that the suspended strike led to 16% oil production and 30% marketed gas losses, while the nation suffered a 20% power supply shortfall. The national oil company's letter, dated 29 September 2025, entitled Impact Assessment of Ongoing Industrial Action, was also sent to the National Security Advisor and the Director General, Department of State Services. In health, the World Health Organization has said that an Ebola outbreak declared in the DR Congo in early September has caused 42 deaths out of the 64 confirmed cases, but the risk of it spreading in the region is moderate. Recall that health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo 2 weeks ago began rolling out for fatal virus. The highly contagious hemorrhagic fever has killed some 15,000 people in Africa over the past 50 years. The deadliest killed nearly 2,300 people. Last month, vaccination campaign followed the announcement of a resurgence of the disease in the central province of Kiasi. Still in health, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has directed its members to stop engaging in more than 24-hour duty from October 1st. Interview with reporters, saying the move is aimed at protecting. The association has repeatedly raised concerns about Atlantic Bilbao in their champions netted in the first half, and Bukayo Saka wrapped up the league with a 10th clean sheet in their last 13 matches in the competition. Still in sport, Anthony Gordon scored a pair of penalties as Newcastle eased to a 4-0 win away to Belgian side Union St. Gilles on Wednesday to pick up their first point in the Champions League. Nick Woltemade flicked in Sandro Tonali's shot to give Newcastle the lead in Brussels before Gordon converted twice from the spot on a comfortable night for Eddie Howard's men. Harvey Barnes came off the bench to add a fourth as Newcastle responded well to a stinging Premier League defeat by Arsenal on Sunday and an opening loss in Europe to Barcelona 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Newcastle's two most expensive summer signings, Woltemade and Anthony Elegan, started alongside Gordon for the first time with the club, looking to move on from acrimonious departure of Alexander Isak to Liverpool. On 9010 Men's News, Nigerian Afrobeat singer Remo has been featured in the 2025 Time 100 Next list, which spotlights the world's most influential. Rema is the only African artist honored this year. Emedion James. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching.